High school, did you date?
So
Around in high school, you seem like a very engaging guy, very, like an extrovert.
So in high school, I was kind of a late bloomer.
Really?
So I was
Okay.
like 5'3" when I was a freshman.
Okay.
Like hit puberty late, which was wild because I was old for my grade.
Oh.
So it was, I mean, thank God I was old for my grade. I always say that. I mean, remember I had like a high pitched voice as a freshman, like didn't even really realize I get to this big all boys high school and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am not prepared for this. I was a big fish in a much smaller pond and I made that transition. And so I was really, I mean, I would go to like homecoming and stuff. But I remember you really have to get out there when you're going to Straight Jesuit. It's an all boys school. And so like, there's some girls at St. Agnes across the street. And I remember I dated this one girl. I really wanted to date her. I met her at like a dance. And I dated her for, I mean, probably 3 weeks. I remember, I kind of even just, it was too much for me. I was like, this is intense. Like, this is a lot of pressure. I can't handle this, And so,
Really?
And yeah, I don't really know how to describe. I guess I just didn't really realize like you're dealing with a human being. I was just so immature.
The dynamic.
Yeah, it's like a relationship it means a lot, and that was something I really understood. Was I wasn't gonna just like date someone for fun, and so I think when I was dating someone at a point where I wasn't really mature and it wasn't gonna go anywhere, I think it was a really weird conflict for me.
Okay.
I'm kind of a just go all for it kind of person.
Okay.
And so that was early on, like freshman, sophomore year. And I remember one of my friends started dating a girl. It's funny, we're in this area right now at St. Faustina, who went to Cinco Ranch.
Okay.
And we started hanging out with them, and we got real plugged in with their kind of group. And there was definitely a girl who there was definitely some mutual attraction there, but it never worked out. I mean, it was like she was going home to visit family outside the state when we had our homecoming or our prom at Strake, and the funny thing is we both went to A&M, and it just kind of dissolved.
Wow.
Eventually. I even went to a dance with her sorority and stuff, but it just kind of ultimately dissolved. And in college, I did have one pretty serious relationship. So I mentioned I was going to the Norbertines.
Yes.
So I can be very honest about this. I was applying for the Norbertines, very into that.
Okay.
And very end of the year. So it was pretty funny. So I lived in a Catholic household, Padre Pio's pad, with 4 other guys. It was for 2 years. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Well, that was junior and senior year. Well, we had started planning that sophomore year.
Okay.
And so when I was kind of like, I think I'm going to go to the Norbertines. And in my heart, I was like, I'm going to the Norbertines. And I was trying to let them down easy. We were looking for houses to live in together. I was like, let's just do 4 bedrooms. Like, so 2 of us can share, thinking when I zip out, they won't be totally hosed here. And that was like when LeBron James was coming to the Heat. So we would like call ourselves the Heat. Like we were like assembling this house. And I was like, I'm going to back out. We were dumb and immature. So anyway, I met a girl, I mean, the last possible week. It was raft trip at the end of the year, like the St. Mary's Catholic Center raft trip. We'd always go to New Braunfels and on rafts, and it was just a really fun day. Well, I met this girl, and I was like, I can't leave. I have to date this girl. Like, even if she doesn't want to date me, I have to date her. And so we ended up dating. And so that was really, I mean, that kept me back. And it was funny. I totally ghosted the vocation director. And he knew. Eventually, when I talked to him, he goes, you met a girl, you're dating. And I was like, yeah.
He knew that, right? He's like, I'm sure it's happened to him more than a few times.
Exactly. And so in many ways, I'm thankful for that period of my life, because I think something that happens to guys in seminary is Satan is really good at doing exactly what he did in the Garden of Eden. It's like, oh, you have all of these things, but you can't eat from that tree. And then the lie that we tell ourselves is I can not only have all these things, but I can also eat from that tree.
Yes.
Which, as we know, that's not what happens to Adam and Eve, right? Like it all goes to hell, basically, after that. And so for me to kind of be discerning very seriously and then be like, man, I want to date this girl. And it going really well. I mean, it was a really good relationship, but also being like, man, that's not what I'm being called to. I mean, my vocation is the priesthood. She knew it. We had really honest conversations about it.
Okay.
Now, it's knowing it and like being able to feel it and persevere in that are two different things. I mean, that was a little bit of a mess. We'll skip through some of that. As all my close friends from college would know, it was a tough discernment.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, looking back, I'm so grateful I had that. I think God had to give me that, okay, I know that you would love to be married. I know that you would love to have a family. I know that you can have great relationships with women. That's fine, but I'm asking you to give that up. And I think for me, and maybe I don't get enough credit now because I had to be really shown to God that I needed to give it up. Really? I didn't just give it up blindly, like, I can do it. I love you, Jesus. No, that wasn't it. I mean,
was there a moment when that happened?
I had to, when we were dating, I had to feel that feeling of, I'm not doing God's will. I mean, God doesn't, when you're praying and you're not doing God's will, He doesn't have to yell at you. It's just this nagging.
Okay.
It's just this nagging. So I remember when I broke up from that relationship, it was pretty mutual, just feeling so free in that day. And even going to seminary, being just so free to do God's will. And then the wonderful reality is you get to seminary and everybody's got these stories. I mean, it's awesome. You know, I mean, they say, I wasn't in college seminary because I entered after college, but the joke about college seminary is it's just a bunch of guys talking about girls. You know, it's like, oh man, it's so tough. This is such a hard life, which a lot of guys don't make it through college seminary. They end up discerning out.